Okay, good afternoon, everyone. We're about to get started. If we can find our seats, silence our cell phones. I greatly appreciate it.
So then, listen, I went to a fire. And two trucks.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. We are on the record. Today is Monday, the 18th day of March in the year 2024. This is a City Council caucus meeting of the Jersey City Municipal Council. We had a scheduled 4 p.m. start. The clock on my cell phone is showing 4:04 p.m. May we have a roll call for the commencement of this caucus? Councilperson Ridley.
Here.
Councilperson Prinzeri. Councilperson Baggiano. Councilperson Saleh. Councilperson Solomon. Councilperson Gilmore.
Present.
Councilperson DeGise. Councilperson Rivera.
Here.
And Council President Waterman. We have all 9 council members in attendance at 4:04 p.m. On behalf of Council President Waterman and the members of the Municipal Council, in accordance with New Jersey Public Laws of 1975, Chapter 231, the Open Public Meetings Act, also known as the Sunshine Law, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by the posting on the bulletin board of first floor of City Hall, the annual notice, which is the schedule of meetings and caucuses of the Municipal Council for the calendar year 2024, and filed in the office of the City Clerk on Thursday, November 30th, 2023. In addition, at its time of its preparation, the agenda of this meeting was similarly disseminated on Friday, March 15th, 2024 at 6:47 p.m. to the mayor, municipal council, business administrator, corporation council, and the local newspapers, and posted on the city's website, so I can certify as to our total compliance with the Sunshine Law. Council President, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Good afternoon, President Waterman, members of the council. I have 3 items before you today. Resolution 24-191-1023. This resolution will authorize the purchasing agent to sell 96 vehicles at public auction currently at the city's impound yard. Second one is Resolution 24-192-10.24. This resolution will authorize the award of a contract to Avid Exchange Incorporated for the New Jersey Energy Tracking and Bill Management System on the New Jersey State contract for the DPW Division of Administrative Service. Avid Exchange Bill Management System is instrumental in managing the extensive network of street lighting across the city. With over 107 monthly bills to handle, this system plays a crucial role in overseeing maintenance and operational costs associated with the street lighting, contributing to the safety and functionality for the public infrastructure. Total amount of this contract is $6,985,500, and the funds are available through the DPW operating account. 2 temporary encumbrances of $400,000, one on the PO 150474, that'll cover street lights, signals, and the second one is and cameras. The second one is 150473, and that includes buildings and facilities.
Yeah, Greg, have you been up to Union City to see the new street lights they have? They're
I have not.
unbelievable.
I have not. Yeah.
They're beautiful.
LEDs are, we've upgraded, I know PSE&G, obviously, they respond. They have been doing some of the upgrades on the LEDs. Is that you're referring to?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the lights are fantastic. The streets are well lit. And in certain sections of the city, we need lighting.
I'll mention that to Lynch. He oversees this project.
All right.
The last is Resolution 24-193-1025. Resolution will authorize the award of a contract to Nobel Computer Systems Incorporated for software services associated with the Auto Impound Management System under the National Co-op Purchasing Alliance for the DPW Division of Automotive Services. Total amount of this contract is $75,000 with a temporary encumbrance of $10,000. Funding for this contract is available under the DPW operating account. Thank you very much.
Evening, Council President, members of council. Our first item is 10.6, Resolution 24-174, and that's going to be presented by Chief Strennan and DeGiulio.
Good afternoon. This is Elise
authorizing the use of a 10-year lease for a fire training academy, training school, training tower, multi-story. That'll be located at DPW outside the public safety training facility, the 10-year lease. And I'm going to hand it over to Chief DeGiulio to talk on the details.
Thank you. What we're proposing is this 10-year lease to own as a training building. It's a modular building, a Class B building for training. Class B, it'll be gas fed, natural gas fed with 3 burn areas. It'll have a tower for rappelling, elevator shafts, everything we do within what we do. This building is modular, so if anything happens to any point of it at one time or gets damaged or degradates, we can actually have that section removed, rebuilt. So this thing will last for 20 or 30 years, if not more. The price right now is what, $1,781,000 over 10 years. This is really paramount in what we do, because right now we don't have any training facility within Jersey City. We're the biggest department in the city, and we do need places to train besides vacant buildings. So this is really going to be paramount in what we do to get this building and might move us forward in what everything we do with high-rise fire safety and everything. If anybody wants a complete packet, I do have some packets for you to look over if you want them. I'm sorry, Councilwoman?
Pass out the package. You have packages?
I have some, yes. Okay.
Sure. The question was, what do we do for this type of training? I know you said we don't have a facility in Jersey City. Can you just sort of walk us through what the existing training looks like?
Yeah, so I'll just say for 30 years, we have not had a training facility since Society Hill was built. So right now, we basically around the city vacant buildings when we can get them, buildings that will be demoed. And right now we have recruits, 15 recruits shipped out to Passaic County. So we've been sending them around the state over the last 30 years to have that happen. So we're looking with the training that we're accomplishing right now, level 2 instructor, we'd like to bring that back to the city so we could do our own specific training here. And everyday training that we'll carry out there, special operations and firefighting training.
Don't we use the, I seen the firefighters frequently in the old Montgomery projects, like the last building off of, what's that? That's Bright? That's
Yeah.
Bright Street, yeah. Do we utilize that as well?
So actually now we are using that. We don't know exactly when they're coming down. In fact, they broke in and ripped out the piping that was in there. So we had for free, pro bono, Stan Pipe and Sprinkler Company came in and put it in for us. But that's just a temporary fix and it's a mess in there. It's really disgraceful. You know, it's time to move on for a new facility.
This training be for existing firefighters as well as new class of firefighters that come in, or is this just for the new class of firefighters that are coming in?
Councilman, what we're looking to do is keep our guys trained and compliant with all the regulations in the state. We'll also be able to train new firefighters as they come in. We still hold our accreditation to have our training school, so what we're looking forward to going down the road is to be able to keep our new recruits in the city and train them here. On top of that, we should be able to, if we set it up correctly, and this is a plus for us, we should be able to charge other departments to come in and train with us and let that facility maintain itself, just like other departments charge us to go to their facility. So that's one of the things we're working towards, to be able to have this facility maintain itself, also to train under us.
Are there also going to be trainings for, the batteries that are, inside scooters and e-bikes and now?
Well, we do that training now, and all of that training will be incorporated in our training school. And one of the other thing we want to bring back, I think it was stopped many years ago, that we had through fire prevention, we went into the high schools and brought kids from high school and introduced them to the fire service through different programs. And we stopped that when we lost our training facility, and we want to bring that back so we could introduce the young adults into the fire service to see if it's something they want to do.
And I guess my last question, so we're going to release this multi-family device thingy, correct? For 10 years?
Say it again. I'm not sure.
Are we going to release this This, no, lease it. It says we're going to lease it for 10 years, this multi-story training facility structure thingy, correct?
Councilman, I can explain a little further. So the reason we went with the lease option is because annually we receive dollars from fire team might have a little bit better understanding of the verbiage, but basically penalties and through the fire safety and fire prevention services. So we're going to use those dollars to offset the lease payment.
So what happens after the 10 years? Oh, that's
Yeah,
what I'm
yeah.
trying, okay, so we own it at.
At least like a 10.
So it's at least, okay.
Yeah. And the dollars come in annually enough to cover it. That's
Cover it, all right.
Yep.
It's layaway, yeah. So also, John, with regards to talking about fire, do we have any updates on what's happening with the Grand Street Fire Station?
Yeah, we could have a little bit more larger discussion on that, but we've been working with the police department as well. What we're doing is rehabbing Holiday Street currently. We're going through some of the processes with the professionals and the architects for that to move back in there permanently. And while the litigation goes on with Engine 10, that would then become Rescue 1. So Engine 10 will move back into Holiday Street, and then Rescue 1 would move into the new facility once it's completed.
So I have a question. So being that we're touching that subject, because I have, first of all, I want to know what's the timeline, because are we putting this stuff out for bid? Because if we are, why can't we do it in-house and let like fire department handle this? Because I get worried when I go to fires and we still have brownouts, and that's very, very concerning. And, it's scary. I mean, I don't think we're in a position to be waiting 8 months, a year. I don't think we're in that position at all. I mean, I think the fire guys are here. I think they can maybe give us a breakdown of a timeline that they could, do with working with the city. But I just think putting it out to bid, it's very concerning.
So Councilman, right now, we've been working with the fire department and our professionals to figure out what could be done through the union direct hire and what would have to be outsourced. Some of the stuff with the architecture and stuff has to be done by professionals, which would be awarded through contracts. But some of the masonry work or concrete work could be done through our union program. And we've worked with Chief DeGilio on that.
I was gonna,
So chiefs, do you guys have like a timeline on that stuff?
Councilman, right now, first what we have to do is wait for the architectural drawings to come back. We put a time limit on that to come back to us within under a month and a half. They tried to drag it out a little bit more, but Director Kearse was successful in bringing that back a little closer for us to see what it's going to cost, with some estimates. So we're waiting to have a meeting with that architectural firm right now, with this week or next, to see exactly where we stand. And once we know what the scope is going to be, then we can put a timeline on that. But we don't know the scope that he's designing as of yet and what he's seen.
So today's March 18th. Can we have like some sort of like we need this ASAP. Listen, I don't want to sit here publicly saying, somebody's going to lose their life, but we have a problem. There's no need for engine company to come all the way from Dwight and Ocean to put out a fire on Grand Street. There's zero need for that. We have 10 engine and we have ladder 12 strategically placed for that. We need to fix that.
We'll know within 4 weeks, 5 weeks, whatever the bid comes back, and we'll present it back to council.
going to ask another question. With this training facility and leasing it, would you be able to create educational videos for residents regarding how to, properly deal with a fire if, they encounter one? Because I know people don't know, like if you're cooking with oil, like, hey, don't put water on it. Like this would be an opportunity for the fire department to release these kinds of educational videos.
Yeah, we will have the ability to do that. Director Kears working on the public safety training facility for the police and fire. We have 2 large classrooms that are in there and an office for the training division, and we plan on having an officer assigned there full-time. We also work with the fire prevention very closely for that. Now we have the space. Right now, we're bouncing around looking for training rooms, actually, ordering, getting a day here or there. So
Chief, what's the total amount of firefighters and captains that you have?
right now, we have 659 members total.
Thank you.
Provide opportunity for, not just educating the firefighters, but also educating the public as well. So.
Yeah, Chief DiGiulio, I just want to thank you again for the other night. You were fantastic. Thank you for coming to the meeting.
Thank you for your support.
Our next item is item 10-7, Resolution 24-175. It's a resolution authorizing an agreement with Fisher Telecom LCC for providing maintenance and support services for the Department of Public Safety via phone system without public bidding. I know that this resolution has been before you since 2014. Public safety, as you know, is moving away from the Avaya system and going to Cisco. So this should effectively be the last year that we'll be using this company for maintenance on the Avaya phone system. And it's in the amount of $46,272.47. The next item is 10.8, Resolution 24-176. And it's a resolution authorizing the City of Jersey City to apply and accept funds from the New Jersey Department of Law and Public Safety, Division of Criminal Justice, on behalf of the Department of Public Safety Police to purchase body armor using the 2023 body armor replacement funds. So we will be basically using $60,136.93 in grant money to replace police body armor. Thank you, Council.
Mr. Baker, before you leave,
Yes.
I was hoping Director Shea was here or Moody was here because people are upset. I wish you'd bring a message back to them because I'm tired of asking. But a lot of people are showing up here Wednesday night for a demonstration because they're annoyed with what's going on. People are upset. They have not received a response from public safety on questions they've been asking. They're going to rally here at City Hall this Wednesday night. Councilman Solomon, Saleh, and I have been meeting with Jersey City Heights parents with many things. They are a growing group and want to help. They're a little annoyed we don't have a police traffic unit. And I'm a little annoyed that I asked several weeks ago for information and I was told I have to go through the business administrator, which I do not have to do. I want a response from the public safety on the questions I asked. And people out there are tired. Please give the message back to them because I'm tired of asking them. And I was hoping he was here tonight. So, all right, it has nothing to do with you. It has to do with them. Okay?
Will do, Councilman. Thank you.
Good evening, council members. The first item that I am before you today is item number 10.5, which is a joint application made between the Division of Forestry and the Department of Recreation and Youth Development. So I'm going to hand it over to our forester to walk us through that ordinance, that resolution.
This is Resolution 24-173. It's a resolution authorizing the Department of Recreation and Youth Development to accept spotted lanternfly chemical treatment grant funds from the State Department of Agriculture. And it's $20,000 over the course of 3 years.
Where are we using this funding and how?
So last year we got a grant. It was $15,000 for the whole year. And what we ended up doing was we treated 270 roughly red maples. And the idea behind that was that of all the native valuable trees that are that do attract the spotted lanternfly, the red maple is the primary one. And so we treated the youngest trees that we had because they're the most susceptible to damage. So that was kind of the approach we did last time. This time it's obviously a lot less money, right? So 20,000 over 3 years comes out to about, I don't know, $6,500 a year. So we have to still kind of think about how we want to apply that. I was thinking potentially, treating maples in parks to try and, help out on Lucinda's end, but also to deal with places where people are going to congregate, because the spotted lanternfly actually doesn't kill trees. It's more of a pest and it's more of a nuisance to people. So that was one route I was thinking. And then the other idea that I had, which I'm still researching, is whether we could try to do in-house work, meaning we'll buy the equipment that would be used, we'll try to train staff, and then maybe potentially treat ourselves, which will get a lot more bang for our buck, considering that this isn't that much money.
And the red maples are primarily concentrated in parks, or they're all over the city?
They're all over.
Okay. Are there any other tools, like are you working with the county regarding the spotted lanternfly issue? Are you like overlaying some of their efforts? Are they doing something totally separate? Like,
yeah, so the county treats along major roads, like the hillside road that runs from the Heights up into Union City. They treat that road as 3 county roads, and then I think they accept up until they run out of money or material. They accept requests from the public to treat on even private property, I believe. So we would not be working, like they would do something totally separate from us, but it would be covering parts of Jersey City as well. But their method is different. So they apply a bark spray, and basically you have to wait for it to dry. Otherwise it could be toxic. Whereas what we did last year was soil injections. So it goes straight into the roots of the tree and up to the tree, and then it doesn't have any impact on people or animals. So we do something slightly different. Our way is a little bit more expensive though, but I think it's better given that people are going to have access to our trees because they're public trees, that's the way we should do it.
and what was your way again? I'm sorry.
Injecting into the soil.
You inject it
into the root
soil.
system. And
Okay.
the bug feeds. Yeah, the bug will feed on it and die from it rather than spraying it on the tree itself where a dog could walk up. I mean, it's the spray dries in like, 10, 15 minutes. So it's not like a massive exposure issue, but it's just safer to do with
Got
soil
it.
injections.
Okay. It's interesting.
Lucinda?
Yes, Councilman.
She finished?
I have just one more.
Okay, go on then.
My next item is item 10.9, which is a resolution giving permission to the Jersey City Department of Recreation and Youth Development to accept the monies, for the Governor's Council of, we have a new name now, the Municipal Drug Alliance mostly. These are the 2024 to 2025 funds. This is allowing the department to accept those funds now so we can put them into place and determine under Councilman Rivera's guidance with the Municipal Drug Alliance how those dollars can best impact our community with the community members who are part of the council.
Okay, Lucinda,
Yes, Councilman.
have the lights been fixed at the pool?
I believe actually one of the items before you today through the Division of Community Development is a resolution where the council members will approve environmental review. Environmental review is a necessary step on the overhead lights at Pershing, and following that environmental review, which I anticipate council will be approving today, we have vendors lined up once the review is done to put those overhead lights back in place,
Yeah,
Councilman.
please,
And we
because
have
I'm
funding
getting
set.
so many complaints, and I think
agree.
you are too, Youssef, about the pool being closed. People up in the Heights are really annoyed with what's going on.
Councilman, respectfully, the pool situation affects the entire city because it's our only year-round pool. It affects our staff
All right.
who doesn't have the full hours to work. So I'm with you, and we are moving as best we can responsibly with the funding that has been identified, which is federal funding, and we have to follow all the rules. So we are doing all of it, and those lights will be up there as soon as it is feasible to get them.
Please get it done, okay?
Thank you.
Council President, members of the council, we have 5 items today for the Department of Infrastructure. I'll ask each division director to present the item, starting with Jen for traffic engineering.
Good afternoon, Council President and council members. The first one is item 3.3, ordinance 24-016. This is an ordinance for reserved parking for the disabled. All of these listed locations were approved at the January and February meetings. Okay, next one, item 1026, resolution 24-194. This is a resolution authorizing the award of a professional services contract to Stantec Consulting Services for on-call traffic engineering services. And this is for 1 year, and the contract is for $250,000. Thank you.
Hello, good afternoon. I'm here with the resolution 24-195, agenda number 1027, resolution authorizing the award of a contract to Kevin Downs Tree Service for the Jersey City tree planting contract of 2024. This is a 1-year contract with 2 possible years of renewal. The total amount of the award is $1,137,600. But the temporary encumbrance is $80,000 at this moment.
Oh, no, I have a question. Sorry. You want to go?
You go first.
How many trees will this enable us to plant?
This planting season, we're going to plant up to around 40 trees and try to evenly distribute it across all the borough or all the wards. And we're really hopeful about having a much more robust tree planting for the fall season.
40. And sorry, this award just covers the spring, or does this contract cover the fall as well? Or?
The contract would cover the fall as well. So this is a 1-year contract with 2 possible years of renewal, so possibly 3 years total.
Got it. And I know you said more robust in the fall. Do we have sort of numbers of what we think the fall planting would look like?
Not at the moment, but I can provide that to you closer to the end of summer.
Okay. And
oh, go for it.
The total amount based on the $1 million contract amount is close to 500 trees citywide.
Got it.
Just based on the cost per tree, the planting costs, breakouts, et cetera. Locations and things like that we're finalizing.
Okay. And then does this contract cover locations without an existing tree pit? So it would actually create the tree pit, or does this cover just the planting of the tree?
Yes, it can cover the actual construction of creating new tree beds.
Got it. And then are you able to share with us the kind of current wait list, if you will, for people who have signed up for street trees? So we sort of have a sense of where they're located and what our options are.
We can answer the requests that we've gotten. I just want to add that about 1.5 years ago, we changed our process so that we would focus plantings on areas that were in the most dire need, where we need to increase our tree canopy. And then as we have supply, we would get to the requested locations. So we're no longer working off of the model where we're only planting where the locations are requested, but we can share what we have so far.
Yeah, it'd be great if you could share that, and then we would at least know what's planned for the spring, and then can look into the fall.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Will there be biodiversity within the trees? Are they different tree types? Are you going to they're not going to be like one monoculture, right? Or
We do not want a monoculture. We do love biodiversity. Now, for this spring planting, we are primarily going to try to plant oaks because oaks have a tendency to fall if they're planted in the fall. So we really wanted to emphasize planting as many oaks as possible, but we are going to be trying to create a more diverse canopy.
do you know the lifespan of the trees that we're planting, or?
The lifespan of the trees can vary by species, but they tend to be upwards of anywhere to 20 to 50 to 100 years, depending on the species and the location that they're planted.
Okay. Thank you.
Good evening. Good evening, Council.
Good evening.
2 items. One is agenda item 10.28, resolution 24-196. This is a resolution authorizing an amendment to a contract with MKW Associates LLC for the continued professional services and construction administration services for Arlington Park improvements. and the amount is $55,875 from Capital Grants Parks account. Okay, the second agenda item is 10.29, Resolution 24-197. This is a resolution authorizing payment of sale proceeds to purchaser closing costs for 18 Sherman Place to the city's escrow account, Clear Skies Title, to be distributed to the seller at closing of title. This is related to property acquisition for the new North District. Thank you very much.
BG?
Good afternoon, Council President, members of the council. How are you? I'm here today to present Resolution 24-183, Agenda Item Number 10.15. It is a resolution requesting a change order, amending the existing contract for Intellectics, who are the vendors for our Consolidated Affordable Housing Portal. So we're extending the base term year and continuing for the installation and maintenance of the hardware and software related to the operation of the portal. And the increase in amount would be $322,390.22. Are there any questions about this resolution? Okay, we do have a hard date now in June, just for you all to know. We are happily doing all of the data migration, and we do expect to have our first application period open sometime in the middle of June so that our residents can access the portal. We're very excited. Thank you for your support.
Good afternoon, Council President, members of the City Council. I have one item for your consideration this evening. Resolution 24180, Agenda Number 10.12, a resolution authorizing the City of Jersey City Department of Health and Human Services to accept the American Rescue Plan grant for the year 2024 from Hudson County. The total of the grant funding is $213,000 and $213,310, and the matching amount of 10% is $23,701. And these funds will be used for congregate nutrition, Meals on Wheels, and nutrition education. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Council. I'm here on two second reading items, 4.2 and 4.3. I'm here to see if there are any questions that I might help the council with. That was. Okay. Well, I appreciate your time. Have a good evening.
Good evening. I'm presenting Resolution 24181. It's a resolution authorizing the execution of an MOU with Hudson County School of Technology's work-based learning program. We're going to be connecting their students with our Division of Animal Care and Control to help support our staff. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I have two resolutions. First is item 10.2, and that is the resolution honoring Mike McNamara. His family and colleagues from the Bushwick Community Garden will be present on Wednesday evening to honor the life of Mike and all of his work with the City of Jersey City. And then I have 1012, a resolution authorizing the City of Jersey City Department of Health and Human Services to accept, oh wait, no, that's yours. Wait, which is the one I have? Where is that one? Oh, the one above it, 1010. A resolution authorizing a shared service agreement with the County of Bergen pursuant to the Uniform Shared Service Consolidation Act. This is to provide prevention services. This funding is $20,000. It is to offset cost of the ward-based health educators for chronic disease prevention work, because the Bergen County Department of Health applied for a Hudson Bergen collaborative effort many years ago. And I think this is the last year of this 5-year plan. And it's funding 4 of our staff and the time they spend on this project.
Evening, Council President, members of the council. I am presenting item number 10-1011, Resolution 24179. This is a resolution authorizing an affiliation agreement with Kathy Lord Williams from the University of Arizona.
Wait, excuse me. Deja is next. Are you with?
All right.
Oh, no, no problem.
Good afternoon, members of the council. I have about 5 resolutions for you here today. The first one is 10.14, resolution number 24-182. And it's a resolution requesting the municipal council to authorize the business administrator to discharge mortgage encumbering 68 Beacon Avenue in Jersey City. This homeowner received a grant from DCD in the amount of $21,235 for the now defunct HORP program. And pursuant to the mortgage, this indebtedness is a deferred payment, no interest mortgage. And upon the end of the 10th year after signing this mortgage, it shall be forgiven in its entirety. The next item that I have for you is 10.16, a resolution requesting the municipal council to authorize a contract with Trident Environmental LLC for the preparation of environmental reviews for program year 2022 Community Development Block Grant Public Facilities Projects. We went out and solicited the appropriate bids. Trident coming back the best. Included in this contract is the review of the Curry Woods Food Pantry revitalization in the amount of $2,839. Park upgrades for a list of all the parks. That's going to come out to $25,685. And for ADA upgrades at the Barrow Mansion for $7,774 for a total contract award of $36,298. Yeah, the environmental reviews are really important. As far as federal funding is concerned, I cannot do anything that's going to disturb the ground at a site without undergoing a pretty in-depth environmental review, and we have to contract out for someone else to do that for us. Okay. The next item that I have for you is 10.17, a resolution requesting municipal council to reprogram funding and amend public contracts under the Community Development Block Grant for Public Services for the program year of April 1st, 22 through March 30th, 23. So for this particular amount of funding, we gave $60,000 to PACO for its recruitment and training for law enforcement officers program. They were unable to spend $5,000 of those funds. So we are recapturing those funds and we're looking to reprogram those funds to the Urban League of Hudson County for their summer youth program. The next item that I have for you is 10.18. And this is to request the municipal council to authorize the submission of fiscal year 2024 community service block grant application with the New Jersey Department of Community Affairs. The next item that I have for you is 10.19, and it's a contract for the municipal, a resolution for the municipal council to authorize the renewal of a contract with Civitas LLC so they can continue to provide technical assistance to Jersey City in all aspects of our HUD grant management and program implementation. Our contract with them is for $40,000. In said contract, we do have a right to renew, and we are asking for the city to be able to exercise that right to review clause in its contract. Thank you. Thank you. I don't know if I'm speaking a little out of turn, but I did have another resolution that for some reason it did not make it for your purview, but I would have been requesting the municipal council to recognize April 1st through 5th as National Community Development Week. And it's unfortunate that we're missing this opportunity to stand in solidarity with our peers across the country as we celebrate 50 years of the Community Development Block Grant in the United States.
You uploaded it, Deja?
Yes, I did. And the majority of these resolutions that were uploaded today were also uploaded and prepared for last meeting and did not meet the agenda.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure.
So just a little explanation on the, on iCompass. When a resolution is set for a certain meeting, and if the BA is the last person to approve in iCompass, and if he doesn't approve it by a certain date, then when he does approve it, it may go, it's supposed to go on the next meeting, but unfortunately, iCompass doesn't automatically do that. So what has to happen is whoever the creator of the resolution needs to follow that on the agenda. And then if they don't see it on the agenda, then that person should contact my office. And what I would do is make sure it goes on for that next meeting.
Sean, as city clerk, I want to thank you for all of your assistance in helping this be as smooth as a process as it can be, especially as staff as learning. But our office has created a resolution tracker, and I don't think the issue primarily lies with iCompass or with your team in the city clerk's office. I think we need to have a conversation citywide in reference to what the upload schedule looks like, when resolutions are being approved, because if I'm putting resolutions into iCompass 2 months in advance, I don't understand about it not making meetings, especially when I'm dealing with grant dollars, when I have a defined set time to spend and asking for applications and things aren't meeting meetings. So I'm not pointing fingers at any particular one person, but I speak on behalf of myself, some other division directors in HEDC, and likely others, that this is an issue in reference to us conducting the business of the constituents of the city of Jersey City. Thank you.
Thank you, Deja.
National Community Development Week is something that's celebrated across the country. I don't know why we wouldn't have it, the resolution on,
He's telling you what's the
I
problem.
know, but
That's the
we should
approval.
add it.
We
on
added
late
on.
item.
Is it, because it's, I think we should just add it on.
So again, council members, just so we're clear, I mean, when the BA is approving resolutions for a specific agenda meeting, he's going through I can't even think of how many resolutions that he's actually approving, but what he's not doing or doesn't have the access to is like when they're like if they're placed for a certain meeting. For instance, that resolution that we're referring to tonight was slated for or set for March 6th. And the only reason why I know, because my office was contacted, however, it was approved on March 13th. So when that gets approved, because it was set for March 6th, it wound up on the March 6th agenda, which has already been adjourned. So the problem is with iCompass, to be honest with you, it's something that we're trying to talk to iCompass about, to where it doesn't default to the meeting that it was set for. It would default to the next available meeting. So then we wouldn't be having this conversation, and it would have been on the March 20th meeting.
But based on what you're saying, Deja, you have a tracker.
Yes, that is
And the
correct.
tracker, what does your tracker tell you? We accepted, we received it?
Sean's explanation for this particular resolution is absolutely correct. It was input with that wrong date. The BA approved it on the 13th, so it automatically put it on the 6th. My team didn't catch it on Friday. Today is too late notice to try to get it changed and put back onto the agenda, although it was approved. However, I will state that I have a plethora of other resolutions that were signed by the BA on time to make the meeting that it was listed for, and it did not make the meeting. That is the larger issue that I just want to present to council and have addressed on how we're going to move forward on that. But my
Thank you.
team is aware of the process that if
Correct.
that happens, then they have to contact the clerk's office to get the date changed, to get the reso moved to the correct meeting.
Do that.
But then
Yay.
for this one, since it is timely for the beginning of April, we can add it as a late item. Yes?
Yes.
Yes, so we should just add that. But to your point, Director, it is an issue, and I've heard this from other directors as well. So whatever this disconnect is should be addressed, whether it's through a new round of training or something along those lines.
Thank you.
Yay.
So if it's the council's intention to add the item, just let me know and I can
Correct.
export the item because it has all the approvals, just like Director Anderson said. All I need is the green light to add it, but unfortunately, it'll be considered a late item only because if it's not there when I publish the agenda, it's considered a late item.
Understood.
But let me add, because Deja she addressed a bigger issue. That's what she addressed in. The BA office, do you have someone that can go behind you and check the resolutions? Because just like the clerk said, sometimes you're overwhelmed and some of her resolutions are time sensitive. So it's a bigger issue. This is just not a ceremonial thing. This is a bigger issue.
Yeah, I mean,
What else can we do? So, because I know when we're dealing with grants, it's time sensitive. And her department deals with grants and they're very time sensitive. So what can we do to safeguard that? I know you overwhelmed. I know you're dealing with the whole city here. So.
Council President, respectfully, I think I'm committed to the job and I think I'm fulfilling my obligations. So I am overwhelmed, but it's not prohibited to this the operations. We lean on the directors for these. That's why to not burden me. And there's two things that we got to take a look at. First, which meeting that it's set up for. And sometimes they don't make a meeting. It's up to the department to update the date to the corresponding meeting for the following meeting. And the second one is the deadline for approvals is the Friday before our agenda
meeting.
And you'll see it,
right?
Just to give courtesy, because sometimes diversity is a day late or law department's reviewing an extra day. I do my approvals on agenda day at 5:30 a.m. on Wednesday, so that's 3 business days further than what the actual timeline is. So again, if there's inconsistency with one department approving it, or we could take a look at that, but. That's kind of my safeguard is that I build in 3 extra business days for the approval process without the directors knowing. Now it's out there, but that's kind of our mechanism to try to get that done. But we do have a directors meeting coming up in 2 weeks.
Okay.
And we'll
Just them, the law department, then they have to let us know how long it takes them to approve it.
Because after you sign off, then where does it go? Because Deja did say that even after you've signed it, which you've signed it on time, it's still not making the agenda.
Well, for that particular one, I will state the issue was that it was approved for the March 6th meeting.
Right.
So when he went in and approved it on the 13th, it auto-populated to the March 6th agenda, and it didn't populate on this agenda.
Right.
So again, that onus was on my office to follow the tracker, reach back out to Sean, and have it moved from the March 6th meeting to the correct meeting for today.
Right.
I just wanted to highlight the bigger issue of the BA being responsive and approving these resolutions, but then the resolution still not making the meeting when it is posted for the correct meeting.
That's what I'm trying to figure out, because you're saying he did approve it. So there's something in between the BA and the agenda.
But that one in particular was set for March 6th.
Correct.
And what had happened is
Oh, I
because
understand that one.
You want to know what happens when he approves, because once he approves it, it should hit the agenda.
It should, it
It
should.
doesn't go
so-
through the
so-
law department at that time. Am I correct?
It's already pre-approved by everybody else. I'm the last sign off.
It's the last sign off and it's supposed to hit.
So
the
if there is some
agenda.
glitch,
He's not doing,
we'd work with Deja on looking at those and trying to see where it's at, but.
right,
But
okay.
also, this sounds like it's an issue within the software itself. So can we see if there's a way to have a secondary failsafe where maybe you have it for one and then another meeting? Because it seems to me like if we're paying for the software and there's a fix internally in the software, maybe that's also one of the answers. I mean, I don't.
We could talk
because
to the vendor. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Councilwoman,
Yeah,
but,
because
go ahead, sorry.
this is not the first time this has happened, and and some of the stuff is timely, and the city is not capturing money, and this is a time when the city needs money, and we don't want to have to give grant funding back or not spend the grant funding. So it just seems to me like it's a process issue, and this is just something you guys should discuss at the BA meeting.
Councilwoman, I'm more than happy to work with every department director and division director, as long as, and Director Anderson does follow up. If it's not her, it's someone else from her office will contact me, and I'll, export the items that unfortunately were set for a different meeting date. I'll put them in. But to your point about iCompass, hopefully we'll meet with them soon, because that's one of the things that was a big pet peeve for me, where a resolution gets placed on a meeting that's already adjourned. It should never happen that way. But I don't know if there's something that they can put in there, like a fail-safe thing that automatically goes on the next meeting. But until that happens, we need every department director and division director to make sure that they're staying on top of the items that they create in iCompass, and they're following, like you, Director, had said, that you have a tracker, separate tracker. I think that's great. I hope and wish that every other department director and division director follows that as well. I know we had a purchasing seminar, and I happened to be at the purchasing seminar, and I mentioned this at the purchasing seminar because it's very important. When you don't see your item on the agenda, we try to publish it in a timely manner. If you don't see it, contact the office and we'll make sure it goes on the next meeting.
Yeah. Thank you. Danny. Finance.
Good afternoon, council members. I have 3 items for your consideration. The first item is resolution number 24-201, agenda number 10.33. It is a resolution authorizing calendar year 2023 appropriation reserve transfers for the law department. Pretty much this request is for various law firms for union negotiations, tax appeals, EEO investigations, court filing fees, and reverse tax appeals. Second item that I have is resolution number 24-202, agenda number 10.34. It's a resolution authorizing an emergency temporary appropriations. And the need for this resolution is to provide additional appropriation in the temporary budget available so the continuance of city services with no disruptions. Last but not least, resolution number 24-203, agenda number 10.35. It's a resolution authorizing calendar year 2023 appropriation reserve transfers for the Division of Human Resources. This is strictly for fees outside of attorneys, such as workers' compensation, physical therapy, and CarePoint Health. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Council President and council members. I have 3 items for you this evening. First is item number 10.32, resolution 24-200. It's a resolution providing local support for Backpack Boys JC LLC to operate a Class 5 retail cannabis business at 746 Grand Street. It was approved by the CCB on 11/14/2022 and the Planning Board on February 6, 2024. And we do not have any distance issues with this location.
What's the address again, man?
746 Grand Street.
That all it's in? No, that's Grand Street.
Oh, across the street from
From the fire, yeah. That's the corner property.
It's at the junction, I believe, at the corner triangle property.
Yes.
Second on the agenda is item number 3.1. It's ordinance, first reading ordinance, actually first reading ordinance 24-014. It's an ordinance amending chapter 87 amusement devices, article automatic amusement devices. It's an amendment to comply with state law. It's really for any kind of arcade games where it's not a guaranteed win. It's more specific for RPM Raceway located at 99 Caven Point Road. They have machines in their location that it's not an automatic win every time like you would see at, say, a Chuck E. Cheese. And therefore the state considers that gambling. And that's why we're making that change just for that one particular location. And last I have, it's ordinance number 24-008. It's agenda number 3.2. It's an ordinance amending chapter 175, food handling establishments, and 242, peace and good order of the Code of Ordinance of the City of Jersey City to establish regulations for third-party delivery companies and food delivery drivers. Although this particular ordinance really falls under HHS, I was actually a little surprised, and I expressed my concerns with the councilman on why it was assigned to Commerce. And the reason I have such a pushback on it being assigned to Commerce, because we're a very small division. I only have 6 employees. I currently handle 29 different licenses, 2 quarterly tax collection accounts, 2 boards with an annual revenue of $12 million. Like I said, just in the last 2 years, we were given the cannabis licenses as well as the smoke shop licenses, and I just don't have the staff for it. And I also was a little surprised when I spoke to and confirmed with Director Flanagan that no one reached out to her to discuss this ordinance.
Sorry, Mayor, let me just respond to that. So appreciate Director Woodson there. So we put it in Commerce because we thought that it had enough similarities with other things that Commerce runs, such as entertainment licenses. We emailed Director Cialone and Director Woodson weeks in advance of first reading to start the discussion. Director Woodson expressed his concerns, and at that point we went to the business administrator and the mayor and said, these are our reasons, but ultimately you run the administration of the city. If you would like it to be in another division, we are happy to work with you. We're open. It's obviously that was our first thought, but we're not fighting for it to be here. We're going to reintroduce this and we'll talk about it. We can talk about it now or later. So our thing is just before Wednesday, if it's, here are our reasons for Commerce, but if the BA wants it somewhere else, chain of command, BA's in charge of the government. You guys let us know and we'll adjust the ordinance to match where we think it should sit.
Yeah. That I understand, but I just still don't understand why HHS wasn't even consulted about the ordinance when they also have licensing.
Because it's a Commerce issue, but again, we went to the BA. So Director, respectfully, please come to us, which we started this conversation weeks ago. I think it's an overstep to start telling us who in city government we should not be speaking to. We have spoken to the BA. The BA is in charge. He will let us know. And we've been very communicative over the last month. So it is the mayor and the BA in charge of the government. Let them dictate to us before Wednesday.
Can I just ask something? I received a call from a person and they said that this is an illegal ordinance and the city's going to be sued over this. Have you heard anything about that?
I have not heard anything.
All right. Well, it's going to happen probably.
Sure. So, this,
It's illegal.
we can just take one, pass it around. So, just briefly in terms of this, and I defer to the clerk how he would like to do this. So we submitted an iCompass last week, the amendments we had discussed sort of, as a group. And then what you'll find here is the summary of the amendments and then the red line draft, so people have a chance to review them. They will be substantial. So, either if the council agrees, we would either have to amend the second reading or we would reintroduce this first reading and defeat the second reading. And I don't know which, clerk or others you guys prefer.
I mean, to me, the cleanest way to do it is to introduce this ordinance, a new ordinance, and we'll defeat the second reading. But if you wanted to amend it at the meeting on Wednesday, it would be a substantial change. So then we would have to actually reintroduce it at Wednesday's meeting and re-advertise it for a public hearing for the April 10th meeting. It's totally up to the council, but normally what we did in the past, we would introduce an ordinance that, the clean version of the ordinance, and we would defeat the second reading ordinance.
Sure. And then I appreciate that. So just to kind of quickly summarize the updates, we met with the app companies and we met with a lot of the biking kind of advocates. I think it's fair to say that their requests were different in different directions on different things. So we did our best to hear from everybody and incorporate changes. This goes through kind of, again, the detail by detail. Some of them are more small language changes. Ultimately, the core of the ordinance remains the same. So just briefly walking through it, again, the high level, the top level is regulating the way that the food service delivery apps operate in the city. It includes a price floor. The app companies do object to that. There is a court case that I think what they're referencing, Rich, in New York City. However, New York City is different. New York City is a hard cap that just doesn't allow them to charge more than a certain number, which is not what this ordinance does. And it's still in court. So we don't have any rulings yet. The judge has only allowed it to continue in court. And obviously, I think we need to move forward and take action. It includes some regulations and worker protections. For the most part, the app companies say they're now doing those things, but we do think it's important to put them in writing. And then the last is the initial regulation on the e-bikes. Hoboken is doing their version. It hasn't passed Hoboken, but they're considering it. Their version really puts the onus on the delivery folks to register, to take tests and things like that. We understand why they're doing it that way. We do have a couple concerns on that. One is if we think this is work on the bureaucracy, having us register the hundreds and hundreds of e-delivery folks in Jersey City would be an extremely large bureaucratic task. That's why we want to go through the app companies that already to a degree do this. We also think that we want to make sure that responsibility falls on both parties, that if the app companies are encouraging drivers or delivery workers to move really quickly, that's a shared responsibility, right? That safety is on both parties to ensure that the way that the relationship operates is done to not incentivize unsafe behavior on our streets. And we think both folks have responsibility, the employer or the contractor, whatever term you want to use, and the delivery workers. We did make some changes again to the way in which that was done, and those are all detailed here. So that's the kind of the summary of it.
Yeah, so just two things. I mean, if we can get clarification on where this is going to live, I think that I agree with Director Woodson's point is like this is too much for commerce. Health and Human Services handles, they're already working with the food establishment. So I think that might be a more natural fit. Director Flanagan, I would love to hear your thoughts since evidently nobody has spoken with you about that. And then the other piece of it though is that has there been any conversation with the council in Hoboken about considering our ordinance? Because I know we've worked with the police department on the ATV like motocross ordinances that we passed here, and our police department has shared them with the other municipalities. So there's some uniformity in the region.
Yeah, we have. So we met with the lead council sponsor in January to discuss the ordinances, and we've been in communication and sharing drafts back and forth. The law department has produced sort of an analysis which we can share, which basically says our ordinances take different approaches, but they're compatible with each other. And ultimately, I think the the ordinances can work with each other. The core question though is if we were to kind of adopt their approach, it would just be a multiple, we would have to have a huge bureaucratic thing for a city of 300,000 people. And my worry is that it doesn't share responsibilities among delivery bikers and the app companies. It just puts it on the delivery workers. And we don't think that's a fair approach. And we understand why they're doing it that way, but we think it has to be shared.
And I don't disagree about it being shared. I'm just saying that there are people that are going to be
Delivering between both.
yeah, they're going to be ordering in Jersey City for Hoboken and back and forth. And so I just, you also don't want to create even more confusion for the people who are just trying to, do their work and make money so they can pay their rent. Right. So I just think that as we're moving forward with this, the more, I think there's some things about Hoboken's that I really do like, especially their education piece, which is part of one of the reasons why we have a lot of the road issues that we do. Is because there is none for, people who are on these bicycles to actually use the road the right way. But I do agree that, we're cities of different sizes. So I just don't want this to create more problems, when we're trying to solve.
Yeah, understood. We'll share what the law department sent us around with everybody.
Councilman, are we, with the registering of the bikes and the riders, I think we spoke about this briefly and I spoke about it also with, some of the Uber reps, are we having like a universal ID or are they being required to get a different ID for each company? And is it a way to kind of uniform it instead of, if I'm doing DoorDash and I'm doing Uber, like that's a lot of different IDs to keep up with?
Agreed, it is. I mean, there are three big ones. The way the ordinance is written is it does suggest that there'll be one from each company that you're delivering from, and if you're delivering for all the three major ones, then ultimately there might be three. Again, the trade-off on our end was for there to be one universal one that the city is responsible for maintaining is a huge endeavor on the city's part. That makes sense. Yeah.
To that point, and to talk about compliance, is the third party app the one responsible for them to wear the correct vest or have the correct identification, or is it going to be on the rider?
So the company is responsible for providing a vest, and any of the companies can do it. So if a rider requests that, and that's a core safety thing, then it's on us on enforcing the actual terms of the ordinance, right? Making sure that you're, wearing the vest, and then, having the ID and things like that. But we obviously hope to be partnering with the companies that they're also working to make sure that their contractors or employees are following the law too, right? Just that if, let's say I were to hire someone to redo the sidewalk outside a house, yes, they're a contractor, but if they do a terrible job and I just say, it's still my responsibility, right? So we want real shared responsibility here from all parties.
Then what do we do in the case if somebody is from Bayonne, delivers from Bayonne, ends up in Jersey City and picks up a delivery in Jersey City, doesn't have the vest, doesn't know that they're supposed to have this identification?
I mean, they would have to follow the Jersey City law if they're going to do either a pickup or a delivery in Jersey City.
So who would ultimately be in charge of compliance and enforcement?
So the one is obviously anyone in JCPD can enforce an ordinance, and obviously we would educate and work with JCPD on this. It would fall under the division that ultimately it's placed in, so to the extent if it's in Commerce has inspectors. If it's HHS, and I know HHS as well, they have inspectors. We're open, but it would both fall under the, general JCPD, you enforce all ordinances, and then the inspection and of whichever division is responsible.
Just one correction, Commerce doesn't have any inspectors.
Apologize.
One other question then about the police department enforcement, when they've been given directives from the attorney general not to, pull over bicyclists, not to, pursue bicyclists, how are they going to actually enforce it?
I mean, I think it would be a variety of ways, but like if first of all, if an incident occurs, right, then you're there and you're both dealing with whatever road violation may have occurred, as well as being able to say, hey, here's the ordinance, was it followed? Additionally, you would have the ability to potentially, if you're going to, do some proactive enforcement, obviously would start with education, talking to people, hey, here are the rules of the ordinance, here's what needs to be done. But just like any ordinance on the book, someone can come and say, hey, you're not following these things, here's, a summons based on the specific ordinance violation that's done. that's how they would operate, just like every other ordinance.
And one final question then, just for on the
No, it's-
record,
Yeah.
for businesses, restaurants that do not work with these third-party apps, is that where the registration fee comes into play, and do they have to generate their own numbers?
So if they are doing delivery themselves, then yes, they do have to comply with the terms of the ordinance. If they're not, and they're just, whatever pickup, then they don't.
I think in order to make this successful, which it should be, we do need to hear from public safety about what type of enforcement they can do, because the councilwoman's correct. They're not able to pull over bicyclists. And even if they could, it could be very hard and dangerous to do that. I could just foresee it. You could see walk down Smashburger, their bikes are lined up. They're delivering for different apps. So how are they going to know in the right time what vest to grab, what ID to have handy on them? And I think our public safety or whoever is going to enforce it may just say, listen, this is too difficult for us to even enforce. And then, all of this hard work goes nowhere.
We can speak before second reading with them. Talk to everybody.
Thank you very much for your work.
Nope, thank you, everybody. And then we'll speak between now and Wednesday, which we're fine.
I'm going to huddle up with HEDC and HHS and provide feedback to Councilman Solomon tomorrow.
Great, thank you.
Oh, they don't got no info. You want them to info. You might as well, if this ain't gonna work, you gonna send it to them.
And Councilman Solomon, once you guys have the conversation and you'll let me know which way you want to go, whether we're going to add a first reading ordinance or if we're just going to amend it. It's a substantial amendment and we'll just have to re-advertise. Just let me know which way you want to proceed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The show. Paul, you could come now, Paul.
So again, good evening, Council President, council members. I am presenting item 1011. This is Resolution 24-179. Sorry. This is a resolution authorizing an affiliation agreement with Kathy Ann Lord Williams from the University of Arizona and the Department of Health and Human Services to complete her 90 hours of practicum with us while supporting clinic efforts in the Division of Disease Prevention. Questions? So thank you very much.
Okay. With pleasure.
George, we have to add some resolutions, okay?
All righty. As soon as I'm nearing the end, I will turn it back over to you, Council President. All right, first reading ordinances. The only one that was not covered is item 3.2, City Ordinance 24-015 is an ordinance to codify the planting of native plants throughout the city of Jersey City.
Hold on, I think this will be an ordinance as well too. The RCV.
Ranked choice voting.
For the ranked choice voting. Now, Brittany, just so the record is clear, from a legal perspective, we're okay with this, correct?
Oh, I would have to see the final version, but we did speak to Councilman Solomon, did work with him on changes that would need to be made to make sure that it's tied and doesn't bind a future council.
Yes.
And I believe this draft ties it to the specific legislation at the State House, which can only last for 2 years, which is the term of the council.
Correct, as long as that's the update, yes.
Yeah.
So is this actually on the agenda? Because that's a property.
That's.
So I just want to provide excuse me. Sounded like I was 12 again. The reason that we didn't present it from the administration's perspective is because understanding that it's still a pending bill that has to work its way through the legislature. And if anything changes in that legislation, it would void the ordinance and we'd have to come back and start over again. So from a procedural perspective, we were requesting that the council, allow the legislature to produce a final bill, and then we would tie it to that final bill. So that was just the administration's perspective on it, about proceeding.
I mean, if we have to cross that bridge when we get there, I don't think we should hold it up, because at this point, it's only be 2 years, and if we had to hit the reset button, it's not really us anyway, because most of us probably won't even be here anyway for the after 2 years anyway.
So can I, sorry.
Yeah, jump in.
Yeah, so just with respect to the BA on this one, I mean, I think that with the way the bill, so there's a back and forth to get here. So just this would say, so ranked choice voting right now is not, the law of the land in New Jersey. So we couldn't do it if we wanted to. There is a bill in the state legislature that would allow municipalities to opt into ranked choice voting. But to opt in, you actually have to do a referendum. So you don't even just do it, you do a referendum. We had talked about doing an ordinance, a trigger ordinance, right? The trigger would basically say, okay, we know we can't do it now, but we're going to pass the ordinance. And if the state legislature allows us to do it, it would go to the referendum. The concern that we had received from the law department was, well, what happens 3 years from now? What does ranked choice voting mean, 10 years from now? So we amended the ordinance to tie it to specific bills in the legislature that have specific numbers that are in the ordinance. And so this, I think, does speak to the BA's concern, which is the legislative process. We have the titles, so there may make some amendments, but we're committing to saying that this is a ranked choice voting bill. We want it. We want ranked choice voting, and if those bills pass the legislature, then we would go to that referendum. Now, the legislature operates in a 2-year cycle, just like we do. So let's say we pass this ordinance. By our dream world, this gives momentum to the campaign. The bills pass in Trenton, and then we go to the referendum here in Jersey City. But let's say in the 2 years, it doesn't pass, that legislative terms end. In essence, this ordinance then expires at that point. It has no bearing beyond, the end of the legislative term, whatever the date, January 5th, 2026. And a future council, if they wanted to do this again, would have to do it again. So yes, the bills could be amended in the legislature, but we've tied it to the specific titles. And we are basically saying, hey, we support this. Now, 6 months from now, if they pass the bills and we're really concerned by the changes, we could rescind this ordinance, and nothing stops us from doing that. This was all the way we're trying to basically demonstrate our support for ranked choice voting in a way that's more substantive than just a resolution. And the trigger ordinance, we think, does it. Speaking of Hoboken did do a version of this, and they didn't even tie it to the legislative bills. They just passed a trigger ordinance for ranked choice voting. So hopefully that helps explain some of where we're at with it.
Are you introducing it for this meeting, or?
Yeah, we'll look to introduce it for this meeting. So we could get it, we'll add it as a late item.
Okay,
Then we go from there.
got it.
So if anyone have any further questions, comments, or concerns between either now and Wednesday or after the first reading, if it passed the first reading, they can reach out as well.
Any questions? I'm mesmerized up here.
They just, my only, not really a question, I guess more of just a comment. I understand your reason for wanting to do it as a trigger ordinance, but I know when we went down this road with the CCRB and we talked about doing a trigger ordinance, there was conversation that the public sees this as something that we're passing now, and then it doesn't happen. There might be like a false narrative, they might not ring true to them, or it might cause more frustration. So that would just be my only comment. I understand why you want the push, but knowing that it might not happen in this cycle, just something to, just my own 2 cents here.
Community meetings.
Yes, we've had several community meetings for this at the request of several other council members. We even did one with the seniors because we felt like the seniors, we didn't want them to be confused on this. But Mary, you bring up a very good point with regards to confusion. That's why it has to be clarity And it has to be an educational campaign as well. That way we're not confusing, because ultimately that's what we don't want to do.
I agree. I've sponsored one of the educational workshops that we had for them, and this is not my opinion about ranked choice voting itself. Just, just to make sure that we're being really clear with the public.
Yes.
So just to be clear, council members, we're going to be adding this as a late item, correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right, with that being said, the only second reading ordinance that wasn't touched on is the last one, 4.4, City Ordinance 24-013 is an
Sean,
ordinance.
before you go ahead, were there any questions about the native plants ordinance that sort of got skipped over?
I am sorry about that.
That's okay. The one that we were supposed to start with?
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
the
which
item
was 3.2?
3.2, 24-1015. An ordinance to codify the planting of native plants throughout the city of Jersey City. Any questions?
This is actually something that the city is generally doing as a best practice within the public right of way and within our parks, also with our trees, but this is codifying it to make sure that it, lines up what we want to do. There'll be an educational campaign around it. It's also to help educate residents on the role of native plants, because we've had instances where we have had rain gardens or native plants in the right of way and people think that they're weeds. So
So we've had
twofold.
a bunch of rain gardens destroyed in the height. And, really appreciate your work on this, Councilwoman. And regarding the reporting requirement, you're saying that that's going to come in a later iteration because
That will come in a later iteration, because we want to understand the universe of people who are going to opt in, and just want to make sure that it is set up the right way also for the Division of Sustainability to be able to maintain it. So that will come at the next iteration. But right now, really the most important piece is the educational piece, not only for the general public, but also for our own city staff that will be enforcing this, because this has been an ongoing issue for, as far as I know, 10 years now, with people getting tickets for trying to do pollinator gardens in their front yard. So that will come, just not right away.
all right.
I just want to also add for a late item, which is an ordinance naming the Miller Branch Library Cultural Arts Center, the auditorium, as the David Daoud Williams Cultural Arts Center in honor of David Daoud Williams.
Councilman, do we have that uploaded in iCompass?
Yes.
City of Jersey City to accept a gift of a bronze statue from the family of friends of Michael Young. Okay.
Council, that one was late, but to honor the late councilman, we wish to proceed on that one. Nothing wrong with iCompass on that one. We're just trying to get through the process.
So that one is a resolution, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
The resolution.
So we'll get to that at the end. That would be 10.37. Okay. So Councilperson Rivera's ordinance is going to be 3.5, ordinance 24-018. Late item. Okay, got it. Now, moving on to our second reading ordinance, the only one that was not touched on was the last one, item 4.4, City Ordinance 24-013. Is an ordinance supplementing Chapter 332, Vehicles and Traffic, Article 2, Traffic Regulations, Section 332-8, prohibited right turns on red signal to prohibit turns on red at all times at multiple locations in proximity to schools and parks in the Heights neighborhood. Any questions or comments? We have our speakers lists. Right now, we're at 54. Any questions or comments on petitions and communications 6.1 through 6.30? There are no officer communications. Any questions or comments on reported directors 8.1? Hearing none, we have our meeting claims and then on to our resolutions. Item 10.1, City Resolution 24-169 is a resolution to commemorate the life of Michael J. Sonolano, former councilman. Item 10.2 was touched on earlier. Item 10.3, Resolution 24-171 is a resolution calling upon the state legislature, to enact legislation that would allow municipalities to collect and direct a portion of its tax levy to support small businesses. Item 10.4, Resolution 24-172 is a resolution condemning the backlash against Adele Mangine, if I'm mispronouncing that, correct me, and urging the United States Senate to vote in favor for the confirmation. Items 10.5 through 10.19 were touched on earlier. Item 10.20, Resolution 24-188 is a resolution ratifying the award of a contract to Verizon Business Network Services, LLC, also known as Verizon Select Services, Inc., for data services under state contract with Department of Administration, Division of Information Technology. Item 10.21, Resolution 24-189 is a resolution authorizing an agreement with H&L Systems for the annual support of proprietary computer software without public bidding for the Department of Administration, Division of Information Technology. Item 10.22, Resolution 24-190 is a resolution ratifying award of a contract with Dell Marketing LP for architecture and engineer, construction, collection, government, single user annual subscription under state contract for the Department of Administration, Division of Information Technology. Items 10.23 through 10.29 were touched on earlier. Item 10.30 is a resolution 24-198 is a resolution authorizing the Jersey City Law Department to file affirmative tax appeals on behalf of the city of Jersey City in the year 2024. Item 10.31, Resolution 24-199 is a resolution authorizing the settlement of action entitled Daniel Wiley versus the City of Jersey City, docket number HUD L-2595-20.
Sorry, can I pause on that?
Sure.
Can we either have a closed session or some memo yet? I mean, it's a large sum that's contemplated here.
Sure. Yeah, we're working with outside counsel. Outside counsel handled this case. We were working on the memo, but however you'd like to proceed with it, I can provide you the memo tomorrow morning. And if you still feel that you need a closed session, you want.
Okay.
Do you want to check the memo first before we say closed session? Only because then we won't be able to vote on the item if we're going to have a closed session. So we would have to add an item to have a closed session and then eventually bring this settlement back. But if the memo can be addressed and address the concerns of the council, perhaps we wouldn't have to have a closed session.
It's not time sensitive.
It's time sensitive once we pass it, but if the council needs more information, if I can get you the memo in the morning, and if anybody has concerns, we can add it as a late item.
It's big enough, yeah.
Sensitive. It becomes time sensitive once we pass it, you said, right?
For this one, yes.
So it could wait till the next meeting, right?
Sure, if the council needs it.
Good. We asked, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. No, it's fine. If the council needs information, we can do it.
My non-legal opinion, Council President, yeah, we're showing a good effort in presenting it to the council for approval. So I think the parties would understand that, we're working through the process.
I just think anytime there's a large lump sum of a settlement, we just should just be standard procedure that we're briefed on this via closed session, because these
Sure, and Councilman, we just don't know when they're going to be presented since we don't handle the agenda. So we just find out that it's being presented as well. We submit it, and then sometimes, it makes one agenda or the other. But if we want to set up something more frequent, we can do that.
So
Yeah, I think 5 o'clock would be sufficient. And then, council, maybe to your concern, maybe we'll entertain, I'll work with the council president on scheduling, but maybe we'll entertain settlements, say the second meeting of every month. So Sean has adequate time to prepare a closed session if we need it. Because people want their money at the end of the month, not the beginning.
Sounds like a good plan. All right, and the last resolution, item 10.36, resolution 24-204 is a resolution of the city of Jersey City consenting to the undertaking of a sewer system capital project by the Jersey City Municipal Utilities Authority. Are there any questions on that? The BA would like.
So just that this was something that was pre-approved prior, but looks like the block and lot was not part of those original maps. So just including the additional work.
So we approved this resolution already. We're just adding in the. Lot.
Correct. Yeah, I can give you the specifics. Yeah.
And the very last resolution will be a late item, and that's the gift from the family of late Michael Young, correct?
GDC week, CDBG week, CSBG week,
Oh, that one too.
everything together.
G week, yep. Okay. I gotta write this down, otherwise I'll forget. All right, with that being said,
Motion.
may I have a motion to adjourn at 5:34 PM? And I heard that motion made by, I believe, Councilperson Saleh. May I have a second? Second by Councilperson Prinzary. On the motion to adjourn at 5:34 PM, all council members present by acclamation, please say aye. We are out of here at 5:34 PM. Thank you so much, everyone present and everyone watching at home. Remember, teamwork makes the dream work. Have a great night. Stay safe.